want to talk just briefly before we go here about this case up in St. John's here. I want to show you something. I am really, I just do not like the way that case was handled. Pretty much start to finish. I spent a lot of time on the airwaves here locally, I guess being critical. I hate to do that because I don't like Monday morning quarterbacking, and you don't have all the facts. I don't have all the facts here. I don't know what happened up there, which is kind of crazy that after all of this we still don't know what happened. But there are some very disturbing things that are behind this plea, and they let this now 9-year-old boy go in and plead to a negligent homicide. And I'll just say, as a matter of principle, this was the easy thing to do. The way they've handled it, what I think happened was the prosecutor and the defense lawyer and the judge all took the easy way out. Because there's advantages and disadvantages for everybody here, but there's a lot more advantages to just say, okay, we're done with this thing. We really don't know how to deal with an 8, 9-year-old boy.
Make it go away.
Let's just make it go away, and he'll get some counseling, and hopefully it won't happen again. But that is not the way you're supposed to do things, and it's a slippery slope if you do that. For example, that's the easy way to deal with the mentally ill, who are other people we have problems with, of whether they are competent and understand things. Just like, you know what, let's just plead them out. I faced that when I was a public defender a couple times. Let's just plead this guy out. My God, I remember one guy in particular that I got more grief on because it's called a joyride or unlawful use of a means of transportation. He said, the guy's already been in jail. He's going to stay in jail longer than he would ever get. He just, he took someone's car and drove it across town and got out and walked out. He wasn't stealing the car. He was using the car. And the guy was nuts. So just plead him out. Don't worry about it. And I would not do that because the guy didn't understand what was going on. And I think you've got to have some basic principles here in government in general, and certainly in the court system. And this kid, I do not believe that a kid who's 8 or 9 years old can understand this sort of plea. But he knew what was going on. And let me give you a little bit of an example, just ask you guys to take a look at this. I have his plea agreement in front of me that he signed a couple of days ago. Look at the back page and look at his signature. I'll hand it to Carrie here. Isn't that kind of chilling just to look at that signature?
It's horrible.
The little kid.
And it's negligent homicide, which means it was an accident. I mean, it's like, doesn't that just...
It means it wasn't intentional, it wasn't premeditated. It means he took he did something that, in this case, he fired the gun, I guess. Although the judge, if you heard the guy taking the plea, he didn't even go into any details. It's a crummy. I don't even think he met his burden there. But basically, you do some sort of act knowing, or you should have known, that it created the substantial risk that someone would die. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, if you unload a gun into somebody, then that certainly qualifies.
4 times,
right? Yeah,
right?
10 times.
Oh.
He reloaded 10 times, as it turns out, according to the allegations here. But here's the problems. The defense lawyer is quoted as saying, well, nobody is really pleased. The mother doesn't think that he did it and doesn't believe that he's responsible for the death of either of these two people and doesn't believe that he understood the proceedings. And the defense lawyer says, I understand where she's coming from, and I don't disagree with that. Now, wait a minute. You don't disagree? She said, I don't think he did it, and you don't disagree with that. I got a big problem with that. The county attorney, who's brand new, he's been there a month, 2 months now, Michael Whiting, said that he went ahead and did the plea because he didn't want to wait the time period for the kid to become competent. Well, wait a minute. I mean, that on its face then would be thrown out by an appellate court because he's not competent. And guess what? You have to take the kind of ugly step here, and you've got to release him. Because he's too little to understand what's going on here. And you just keep an eye on him, and if he moves, you continue to keep an eye on him. So I think everybody just threw in the towel here and said, let's just get rid of this case. Now, that's one beef. The other beef I have is obviously we complained about the confession, so-called, was a travesty, dragging a little kid in there and interrogating him without a lawyer, without his parents. You can't do that. That would have been thrown out. A lot of the evidence was going to be thrown out because the judge, JP or whoever did it up there, screwed that up. we also have a situation now where we don't know what happened. Now, if you choose to release that videotape and you choose to talk to the press and release all the stuff that they did early, don't they have an obligation now to tell us what happened here? Because I'll tell you what, I don't care if he is 9 years old. If he went in there and loaded and reloaded 10 times on 2 people and killed them, I don't think he should be walking the streets. Maybe after substantial counseling, couple of something.
Serious help.
He knew he did something.
Yeah, something happened there. So, but if he didn't do that, then what sort of weird scenario happened there? So the point is, if I live in St. John's, I know they want to get rid of it too. They want to get it over with. It reflects poorly on the town, and it's not their fault that this happened. But I would want to know what in the world happened. So this isn't over yet. It's going to go to the judge. The judge will decide what's going to happen. I'm sure he's going to release the kid and order him to counseling and all that sort of stuff. They need to tell us what happened because we don't know, and that's, to me, that's crazy.
And it's a small town, and people talk, and this kid's life's never going to be the same.
Oh, he's gonna have to leave.
Nor will the lives of any of his family or his friends or anyone who knew him or knew those 2 people.
But let me tell you one more, is that there's a Republic, and I don't know about other media outlets, but the Republic, after he signed this agreement here in his little 9-year-old handwriting, they said, well, that's it, he's pled guilty, so now they've put his name out there. And I think that's wrong too.
Yeah, he's
I
still
don't,
9.
But yeah, what is the news value in telling everybody what this little kid's name is? Because
Right.
now he's a murderer the rest of his life. If you would have handled it in juvenile court, it would have been sealed, and
As it should be.
and that wouldn't be all over the country.
Well, positive things don't sell. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the reality. Look at our news every night.
Yep. Well, yeah, that's right. So I just, boy, you know, this happens all the time, and it happens especially when you get into smaller jurisdictions. Is a big crime happens, and you know, whoever happens to be there is the one who handles it, and oftentimes they're not the best. And I'll just say, in this case, I'm sorry to say, this was handled extremely poorly. Now, sometimes you can go to a rural jurisdiction and they'll do just a bang-up job. County attorney will be great, defense lawyers do great, the judges generally do well. I just don't understand why this judge handled it in this way.
That's because those jurisdictions have Matlock.
They can watch it, follow along.
Matlock
there.
would have handled it
That,
better.
exactly. Matlock would have gotten to the bottom of this.
I think you would
Oh,
have.
in an
Yes,
hour.
55 minutes.
Exactly.
That's right.